Wait. Okay.
So hello everyone. Today we will present our midterm examination for the public sector accountability class, and we come up with a study case analysis, namely public policies implementation and accountability in the point of view of Lapor Group application. So we'll be forced to present it with Halif, Janti, Harit, and myself, Paul. So I will now move on to the introduction of this presentation. So in 2020, during the COVID-19 outbreak, the tech companies, mostly American but not only, were amongst the ones who earned the most money and took advantage of the crisis. Amazon experienced a growth of 26% during the first quarter with regard to the former year, while Facebook have welcomed 27% more users over this period. Today, Apple's stock market capitalization is equivalent to countries such as Brazil or Italy. That is to say that digital tools need to be deemed seriously at every scale, including the public administration level, as they play a growing role in our society. The application of the information technologies, so known as IT, for delivering government services have been theorized in 2009 by Niranjan Pani and Santap Sahari under the name of e-governance. It is the application of IT for delivering government services, exchange of information, communication, transaction, integration of various standalone systems between government to citizens, we call it G2C, government to business, G2B, government to government, G2G, government to employees, G2E, as well as back office processes and interactions within the entire government framework. So Lapor Group is an app launched by the governor of Java Central, Ganjar Pranowo, in 2013. It's an application which aims to realize, but to develop it later, complete service and fast corporate services for the community. So the concept is to centralize claims of the citizens in one place. Every inhabitant of Java Central can report dysfunctionment in public administration, for instance, a damaged road. But it also makes the agenda of delivery of public good relying on the citizens. Thus, the app proposes a new configuration for e-governance in between citizens to governments, something we call C2G, which takes the opposite side of the traditional organization. So to what extent Lapor Group points out new concerns about public policies implementation and accountability. Actually, has this app vocation to dismantle a whole branch of Java Central bureaucracy with only a couple of data analysts to acknowledge what is wanted by the people or not? So we will see it during, thanks to my mates and fellow.
Oui, bonjour madame.
So, accountability is not just for the benefit of citizens, but is potentially also advantageous for public organizations. By providing accounts of their actions, governmental institutions can demonstrate their legitimacy. Accountability holds up a mirror to the organization. By reflecting on their past actions, public organizations can learn from their mistakes and successes, and thus improve their future performance, which again may increase their support by the citizenry. So this is what we believe. The higher accountability of the government, making the higher public mistrust towards the government. So therefore, government of Central Java using the Lapor Group to maintain their accountability using their innovation, and it's called Lapor Group.
Okay, so briefly, I will present about the Lapor Group itself. So basically, Lapor Group was based on the government Ganjar's experience in accepting the public complaints through social medias at that time. There are a lot of complaints from the public, maybe about the street or maybe about the other circumstances that may happen in their region area. And it was started in 2013 at that time. This is an application base, and public also can complaints from SMS and the social media such as Twitter, Facebook, and or other platforms. And this application was aimed to realizing an easy, cheap, fast, and complete services for the community, even for the public itself. Next slide. Okay, after we listen to the explanation from Alif about the mistrust of from the public, I guess Lapor Group can be one of the application from the government, or maybe can be one of the solution from the government to maintaining the mistrust from the for the public, and also one of the way from government to the public to give some visible accountability. It is basically actually the same. This slide, it is a brief about the Lapor Group in a glimpse. It is an online complaint report, and as what I told you, this is an innovative public services from the government of Central Java Province, and this was conducted for the sake of the good of accountability, transparency, innovations, and government be more close to the public. And it was developed by the Office of Communication and Information of Central Java Province. Next. And what I can learn and what we can see from the application of Lapor Group, taking the point of view from Lapor Group application, we can see the basic concept of the accountability here, such as this application have the legitimation from the law itself. It is written in the Governor Regulation number 13 of 2018, which regulates the handling of public complaints in Central Java. And through the regulation, it also can be monitored regarding the process of handling the public complaints by SKPD, and the data also recorded in the system shows how many reports were responded and will be the basis for the evaluation itself. By giving the legitimation from the written law and the government regulation, I can conclude that this is also can be one of these elements of proving the accountability for the public from the government to the public. And also, all the complaints from the public to the government was responded through a personalized link, so that the only person or the only actors that can see the complaints and the process, how it goes and how it actually handled and answered, is given through a personalized link from the government or the local governors of Central Java to the people who complains. And another interesting part of accountability in Lapor Group application is it cutting off the bureaucracy. So Lapor Group can create a casual bureaucracy, which casual bureaucracy can prove the accountability itself, such as the details complaints and the timeline, whether it is have been processed or not. It was easily can be tracked from the platform of the Lapor Group, even from the social media such as Twitter. So this is also facilitates the communication between the government and the public, so that subsequently the bureaucracy can be more casual and the service provided can appear to be effectively accountable.
So this is how Lapor Group maintain their innovation existed to keep being accountable. So Lapor Group app is currently available at the Google Play Store. You can download it for free, and then they also provided the online web browser. In here, we also provide the rating of the application in the Google Play Store. They achieve 4.0 out of 5 star, and most of them have good comments and also a complaint about the applications. Next, and this is the example, one of the example of how the mechanism of someone reporting from the social media. In this example is Twitter. So Mas Bram is reporting about there is an event that are being held in the village of Candi Rejo. district Bawang zone it's near Batang on Saturday 19 September 2020. So he says that there was even that attended by many people in the middle of the COVID-19 situation. And the Lapor Group admin in Twitter responded him with the link of his report in the Lapor Group website. So in the second picture, it is shown that his report are already being processed. In the third picture, it is shown that how the multi-level governance works in this report. So the admin pass the report to the Kabupaten Batang, and the Kabupaten Batang administration pass it to the Candi Rejo village, which the event was held. So, and the Candi Rejo village clarified that the event was held under the COVID-19 protocol, and the guests are only are the one who only received the invitation to attend the event.
Okay, so now I'm going to explain about some of the changes that occur after the existence of the app through the political perspective. The first one, I believe my fellow friend has been mentioning it previously, which is the complicated bureaucracy that is cut off. It is because the existence of Lapor Group has helped people to access the public service easily compared to the like long time ago when everything was done manually. People used to need to fill form, and the form needs to be transferred to different institutions, and it required a long time. But now, with the existence of the technology and the help of the application, the complaint can be processed rapidly, faster than before. As a cause of the more simple bureaucracy, now people are getting closer to the government also. As Alif said, people gains more trust to the government. It is because they know to who they can rely on when they have problems. And I think they start to also try to communicate everything to the government. That's why the existence of the app can also bond the government and the people itself, and their connection becomes stronger. And the third one, I think the digital bureaucracy usage increase because more and more officials use it to deliver the service, not only the officials but also the public. It somehow creates an ecosystem of digital bureaucracy usage in the related area. And I think it's a good way to shift from the old way of giving public service to the new way using the technology. It surely faster the process, and I think it is good to test whether we are ready or not to use the digital one. And I think this also should be applied to another region, because the capability of each region in Indonesia in applying the digital bureaucracy is somehow very, very different. So Lapor Group, I think, can be a pilot project also for another region to be re-implemented in their area. Next one. Next. Okay. So this is the success story of Lapor Group. The first point shows that actually from 2017 to 2019, the number of report accepted by the Lapor Group was actually decreasing because, like for example, in 2017 we have 11,000, around 11,000 of reports, and next year we only had like 6,000. But then in 2019, from the beginning until September, we have 9,000. So actually, the number is quite fluctuative. But then Mr. Governor himself said that it's very normal because somehow we cannot predict what problems can appear, and it's actually really depends on the complaints that is produced by the public itself. But I think the number is quite high if we see, because there were like thousands of report came in through the app, which is it wasn't like it was quite amazing when a policy or an app was produced in previous 3 years, and then after 3 years they already have like 1,000 reports came in. It means that the socialization and public can really understand how to use it, and they start to feel comfortable in using it also. And another point that I want to raise is that the SKPD, which is the Indonesian Local Government Unit of Work, is actually required to use social media by Mr. Ganjar. So the governor gave instruction to his officials that are working under him or below his position to also copy his way of work, to use social media often, to listen to the public through the digital platform, and it actually helps also like the top level bureaucrats to start putting themselves on the grassroots level so that they can hear what are the needs of the people on the very lowest level of the society, and they start to understand like how to form a policy better, because previously only like the staffs that go deeper to the report, but then now as the consequence of the technology itself, everyone can access the information and everything become transparent, and people can also know what are the government doing in this case. Next. And I think this is one of the the proof why Lapor Group is quite success. Recently, even like this screenshot was taken like 2 days ago or 3 days ago, and when I started to scroll the Twitter account of the Lapor Group, I saw so many reports still came in to the account, and as we all can see, the report actually vary because many kind of complaints were told to the government, such as on the left side we can see that someone is protesting about the road condition that wasn't good, and then the middle picture showed about someone who report like one of his or her neighbor that is not in a good condition and need immediate help from the government. And the right one also stating about how COVID condition influence one of the family that needs immediate action also. So as we can see here, people start to tell everything to the government regarding the public service, which is actually good, because first everything becomes simple, very simple. You can access everything through one portal, and you don't need to go to another officials and different institutions. You can submit your complaints only to one portal. And also the second one, I can see that the interest of the people is also increased, because more and more people started to submit their complaints through the social media. Next. Okay, Paul, you can go.
Yes. So thank you very much. At the beginning of the introduction, we were wondering whether the Lapor Group app could be the beginning of a new way to apprehend public administration and accountability. As a matter of fact, we saw that the app has been welcomed by the inhabitants of Java Central with pretty good using figures. without nonetheless being adamant when we know that there are more than 30 million inhabitants in Java Central. We show that it still can be and has to be improved. What we can observe is that the whole system tends to be simpler. People are getting closer to the government, and there are some nudging features which guarantee transparency and privacy, such as personalized links. It also enables way more possibilities in terms of data analysis, which is useful in order to improve the response rate, for instance. However, we could see through the progressive cancellation of the intermediate between power and people, namely bureaucracy, a way to a more direct and more efficient accountability of the publication. We have to wonder whether it wouldn't be the opposite. Indeed, to play devil's advocate, when directly linked to the executive through the app, but with the only possibility to report dysfunctionment, the citizen is told to have an important role in public administration, but it seems to be an illusion. In 1957, Robert Dahl defined power as following: A has power over B to the extent that he can get B to do something that B wouldn't do otherwise. Reporting dysfunctionment will never be a way for citizens to get the government do something it wouldn't do otherwise. We are free to believe whether applications such as Lapor Group enables everyone to play a role in decision making, and the government to better prioritize its agenda, or if it is a way to decrease the leverage citizens have through the election system by giving them a strawman role. They will be the only one to blame if public policies weren't efficient enough, for instance, and not will be the stakeholders, such as the bureaucrats and the people in charge. And so the population is really at the middle of this new framework. So this is a question we could ask ourselves, whether this app is a way to improve accountability enforcement, or on the contrary, if it isn't, and if it threatens accountability systems that already exist, such as election. So I don't know if you have your own opinion. I personally believe that with regard to the figures we evoked earlier, with 10,000 reports out of 30 million inhabitants, which is less than 0.03% of the population who is giving reports, I'm not sure that it could be the accountability system that works, but I don't know your opinion, so maybe we can advance our own arguments during this discussion time.
Yeah, Lapor Group, in my opinion, is a good example of citizen-initiated accountability, because the quality of the input by citizen is a highly important prerequisite for learning. Lapor Group clearly demonstrate how there is a wide variety in the contributions of citizens, and not all of them, to put it mildly, can be seen as informative or to the point. There is also the questions of whether local government actually respond to the suggestion on these sites, and whether they can choose to disregard them. Furthermore, intermediaries such as news media and interest group and citizens monitors plays an important role in creating still tense and slightly threatening accountability context that makes this initiative relevant to learning.
Okay, I think, in my opinion, Lapor Group is one of the application that is succeed in showing accountability. It is because we can see it through the mechanism of the app itself, where actually people can interact easily and clearly with the government officials, and it actually somehow creates a good environment of accountability, or we can say also check and balances amongst the involved stakeholders within the usage of the application, because whenever a report came into the application, the officials will directly process the report, and they actually show at what time they process the report and who are responsible for the report and which institution that we need to revert to. It's actually kind of the accountability that maybe we couldn't have like 10 years ago when we used the manual way, because everything was done through the power or through the decision of the officials itself, and the public couldn't really follow the process of the complaints handling. But then now they can see it clearly. They can access it through the online platform, just one click away through the link. They can see how actually in which step are the complaints already processed. And other than that, other than creating the accountability between the public and also the government, I think furthermore this application also like creates a good environment of accountability too in the government body themselves, because you know the admin of Lapor Group said that the task of him or her was to transfer the complaint to the related institution and check whether the complaints are already processed or not. And through that process, I think it is also like the chance for the provincial government to actually check whether the lower level of the government institution, such as the city government, or like the residence level or the village level, are already aware with the complaints, and they can also, like Dianti has said before in her slide about the law that stating that evaluation process using the data came from the Lapor Group itself is actually creating an easy way, like easier way, of course, for government on the top level to check whether the lower level are already doing their job well or not. So I think, in brief, this app has actually succeed in showing how accountability can best work in society. However, I have like a little note to be stated in the last part of my speech. I think the government needs to also aware about the data security about this app, because I think every time people wants to submit their complaints, they also need to register themselves using the Google account, or like they put their personal information within the apps. And it is very important to actually ensure that the data will not be leaked by anyone or by any institution, because now data security become critical. And I think when the government fail to protect the data, it will be such a big mistake for them, because otherwise it will create a bigger problem than the accountability itself. So that's one critical point needs to be the biggest attention of the government to be paid attention to. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay. From my perspective, I was actually wondering. Anyway, elaborating on my perspective towards the accountability in the Lapor Group application, I can say that I actually agree with you guys, and I think there are no other words can explain that um, about the accountability in Lapor Group, because I think all of you has stated. But I was wondering actually. Listening to the word of accountability is reminding me of the budgeting, or maybe the process of financial system and all the the financial, how it actually goes and how it actually distributed, and thus the people who complains know actually whether their complaints are responded well with all the budget and all the um, distribution of financial needs. Like for example, maybe for the people who complains about the their neighborhood got got attacked by the COVID-19, and then I know that the Lapor group try to be accountable from the personalized link, but I just wondering that how actually the Lapor group maintain the accountability from the budgeting process and financial system to the public. I only wondering that. Do you have any idea, guys?
Yeah. For me, it's one of the big limits of this application, which is, as we told, a really great way to ensure accountability is that it's only one way. It's only the citizens who know what is wrong with the current allocation of public resources. So they tell this is broken, but you cannot move forward and plan. I don't know. Big public policies of public equipment. I don't know. So for me, it's an important question, which is raised now. It's how it doesn't answer all the problems of accountability. It just gives a new role to citizens, which is really great. But it omits it lacks a lot of dimensions because the money is not well directed. We don't know from or maybe I don't have all the elements, but it's only like reporting, and you don't give a role of decision to the citizens. You just say, oh, hello, I heard there was some noise around here. Can you check? And then the government decides to do it or not. So for me, it's a place for the citizens to be heard by the government, but not essentially to do something to have an active role. So it answers more to a need to be heard from the citizens and a need to act and to be directly into the public policies decision-making system.
Yeah, I see. I agree. Okay, now I get it. The point. Thanks, Paul.
And to go further, to add something, we talked about the digital divide before within the country. So not every people have access to Lapor group. Maybe they don't know about it, and so this place to be heard is only for. It's not for the entire population, but it wouldn't either be the same. But it's hard to implement, to introduce the system where everyone can participate. The elections is an old system that has been deeply rooted. But if you want to implement new systems such as Lapor group or other apps, it is complicated. Here in France, we have an application which is called Stop COVID, in order to stop COVID, so that when you meet something who has been declared positive to the COVID-19, you got a notification. But the problem is that there are only, I don't know, not even 1 million people who downloaded the application. So it's really bad figures, and it doesn't work because of this. And so it's great that Lapor group can have more users, but it won't stand to the entire population.
Wow, okay. Is it in French, the Stop COVID?
Yes, but maybe there are in other countries too.
Oh, okay. Okay, guys.
Okay, I think I want to add a bit of comment towards Paul's opinion. I think I quite agree about how actually he gave a critique about the inclusiveness of the app itself, because it doesn't really access those who don't have any ability to, or maybe like the infrastructure to get access to the technology. Yeah, I agree with that, because I think in Indonesia we it's very easy to find someone who are lacking knowledge about the technology, even like in the big cities. Somehow like the those who are living in poverty, for example, they don't have any access to technology because they don't have like the money to buy the phone or the electronic equipments that they need to use in order to get access to it. But I think, in my opinion, personally, I think one of the thing that or point that we need to appreciate is that the effort from the government itself to actually try to give the online service towards the public. It actually needs to be appreciated because somehow it creates a big breakthrough in the public service of Indonesia. And I think government nowadays also like they are more aware about the existence of the young people and also those people who work using the technology. So that's why they try to give this to the public itself. But yeah, I think that one point needs to be considered also, how the app can also be inclusive to others. And I think regarding the money in Lapor Group, I think it's quite difficult if we want to actually access to Lapor Group, financial report. Maybe if I'm not mistaken, some of other government also have already started to implement the e-budgeting, in which they start to open all the budgeting process in an online website also. So maybe I don't really know whether Central Java government has already implemented or not, but then maybe we can also find the report regarding the Lapor Group budgeting issue in those reports of regional financing process. And I also agree another point that Paul said about the involvement of the public in decision making process, because actually the app is also the app also accommodates the process of decision making through the authority of the government itself, but not really accommodate the public interest or public involvement in it. So maybe in the future, the Lapor Group needs to also try to bring the public to the decision-making process itself, so the public can also have power or like responsibility to actually give change to the problem that happens surrounding them. I think that's all my comment towards it.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so I think our discussion time would be, that's it. Is there anything you guys want to share or add some comments or some questions? Okay, if there's no other, then our presentation is done. Thanks, guys. For the hard work. So
Thank you.
we can
Thank
present
you.
our resources and references so that our lecturer can see. Yeah, so here are the references and the resources that we utilized for conducting the midterm examination assignment. Okay, so I think that's all, guys, for our presentation and midterm examination.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Hey.